figure fans, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. If you're an old subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're a new one though, welcome. Before you leave, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and bell notification so that you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 501 of the 1/6 scale Shuri from the Black Panther. From the package, you got an absolutely gorgeous side image of Shuri right there in the front with that really cool Wakandan tribal pattern put throughout. I really love the way that looks. You also see, obviously, Black Panther right down there. The side here has Shuri with those tribal patterns continuing on. Same with this side. Come around to the top, and you can see, again, that Black Panther logo. Come around to the back of the package, and you got the various warnings and contact information for Hot Toys. As this is a fairly standard Hot Toys box, you can see that it is a bit of a shoebox style package, which allows you to just slide this out just like so. Taking a look at the inside, you have this nice sleeve with the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. Again, you got that really cool tribal pattern, and then of course you see in the back there the Black Panther logo. You bring that down and boom, we have an open clamshell that fully reveals the figure as well as all of her accessories. But for the packaging on her, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Shuri opened up and out of her packaging. And as always, first she does come with her instruction sheet. Not too much in this that you need to know. The biggest thing would be kind of completing her look by like putting her armbands on, how to power up and actually attach her Vibranium Gauntlets, as well as kind of some warnings like be careful how you kind of articulate the elbows. I'll get into that when I talk about the articulation, how she can hold the spear, and then a couple other cautionary sort of things. So just as always, make sure you go through this just to familiarize yourself with what you have. That way you don't damage anything. Now, starting off first with her accessories, coming down to take a closer look at those. As you can see, in addition to the two relaxed hands that I currently have on her, she comes with a pair of hands that are designed to hold her spear. As you can see, you got a nice open sort of gesture that allows the spear to fairly easily slide through. The biggest problem though is it's not very tight. I mean, that will just fall all the way through. So you really do need to use kind of both of these to hold it. It's not too much of a problem, but I do wish that those were a little bit tighter of holes just so you can hold that a little bit more securely. Taking a closer look at the spear, absolutely gorgeous work on this. Zooming in, you can see really nice reflective paint job there. You got a very nice blue on the center. The edges here have a nice silver paint, which looks really good. The rest is done in kind of like a gunmetal gray of sorts. The actual staff section itself is just it's got a little bit of what looks like a metallic paint in there as well, but most of the detail is right here on the spearhead, which does again look really very nice. I really do like that blue paint that they have on the inside there. And then you also do get a pair of fisted hands. Now, these ones you don't need to use with the gauntlet, and I'll explain that here in just a second, but if you wanted to have just a standard pair of fisted hands on there, you can do that very easily. You also do get this right hand, which is in a gesturing sort of pose with a finger. I don't know, maybe you can use that in conjunction with her other accessories, that being the Kimoyo beads. You know, they could touch that and kind of like activate that. But this particular piece, I feel like they could have done a little bit better. It looks good, don't get me wrong. I feel like it's a little bit bigger on the wrist than it should be. The other thing is there's not really a lot of detail on this. Some time ago, I took a look at the official prop replica of it, and there's a lot of sculpted in detail on that Hot Toys did not replicate here. In addition to that, there's a primary bead that has like a special coloring. I think Shuri's was red, which basically was the main bead. And again, that's not on here at all. Again, I like that these are here. But definitely could have been a lot better in terms of the detail. They're also fairly rigid, so it would have been nice if there was some flexibility to it, much like a real bracelet, but it is what it is. It's a nice accessory, but again, like I said, definitely looks like it would be too big. I'll put it on here in a bit, but the biggest downfall on this would be the lack of any additional detailing. You also do get a couple extra wrist pegs, obviously in case anything happens. It's a nice kind of additional piece to have. And then you can see that she does have some buttons right here, which we'll take a closer look at. In case anything happens to those, you do get some extras. Her best accessory, okay, I should also include these. These are her arm wraps. These are just gonna slide on here to complete the look, but real nice detail on here as well. I don't really necessarily consider these accessories. I guess you kind of could, but it's part of the outfit. You have to put these on there to complete the look. So while I mostly look at these as necessary pieces, things like these are extra, and these I consider accessories more than I consider these. So you do have those which have some nice detail. Again, we'll take a closer look when we get her fully done up. But the primary accessories are going to be her Vibranium Gauntlets. These are really very, very nice. And one thing that I was talking about is you don't need extra fists. I don't know, you can kind of see it. They actually have a fist that's built into it, so you don't have to worry about trying to fit that in there. I'm trying to get the light in there so you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it in there. So you don't necessarily need this to put in there. Kind of wish that wasn't necessarily the case, because you got the peg holes like these that you have to put the post from the wrist into that, and it's a little bit tricky to actually do, to be totally honest, and I don't like forcing things in there, so I kind of wish that was just done up where you could just slide the hand in there, but it's okay. Good detail on here. You can see a nice brownish color with some darker silver elements throughout the entire thing. Gorgeous sculpting and detail. They're very good with kind of replicating that weave pattern. You can kind of see like right around there. You can kind of see some of that along there, and then along the top section. A lot of it right here. Great detail and very minute sculpted aspects of the glove captured beautifully. You can see the front section here has a little gold for the eyes. You can see that it's done up to look like a panther with little bits of sculpted in detail and silver down here, kind of looking like teeth. Really very, very nice on this as well. You can lift this section up. You can install the included batteries, and then you got a little switch right here that when you flip that on, that lights up along the side and then through the inside as well. That is really, it's pretty bright as well. Kind of bleeds through the top section right there, giving that, little, I don't want to say repulsor blast, but concussion blast effect, which is really very, very nice. Again, these are bits that usually don't stay on, but I love the fact that they included something like that just to give a little bit extra to a piece such as this. And then obviously you do get a right and left hand for her. Again, I'll show you how to attach those so you don't have to worry about that. And then she does come with the really nice display base. You got a very nice glossy Black Panther logo on there with that really cool tribal pattern around there. Of course, you got the Black Panther logo on the bottom. Shuri, and this is a little bit different, but it's a waist grabbing sort of section. So easiest way to do that is going to take that out, put this around her waist, clamp it around, and then slide that down like so. So it's not necessarily a crotch grab that goes up underneath there, which is nice because that kind of protects the suit from getting any kind of damage. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of times the female characters have these. I don't know if that's something that they actively think of doing, but you do have that. So for her accessories, that's about it. It's not a lot. Kind of wish there was a few other kind of tech things that she could have come with, but overall I'm happy with it. The most important pieces are going to be these. I feel like the spear is a nice addition, not necessary. She didn't really use this a lot, but it is a nice addition to have. Now to complete the look for her, what you want to do is take the hands, whichever one you want off, take it off. It doesn't matter if you pull the peg off or not. I mean, that's, personal preference. And then literally just slide this up around her arm. You want the silver ring section to be around the bottom, and then you're going to take this, put that back on. No, careful. Make sure that gets all the way up on there. And then do that on this as well. Bring that up, as you can see. You can also take the Kimoyo beads. I don't remember which arm she had them on, but you can put that there, and then put that in there. You can bring that down. But again, so I mean, like that kind of completes her overall look in terms of the outfit that she wore. Get that up there as much as possible. I just feel like these definitely look way too big on her, so it's not going to be my preferred display option. I'm going to obviously display her with the arm gauntlets, but that's one definite negative on this overall piece itself. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something that I'm bringing up to talk about. Now, coming in to take a closer look at her, the likeness is absolutely terrific. I don't mean to disparage other reviewers, but they always talk about figures as being figures of the year, and this is one that has been brought up. But honestly, to me, we're paying for likenesses that are pretty much spot on, so this is what we should be getting. It shouldn't surprise us, really, when Hot Toys nails a likeness. And honestly, more often than not, they get it right. This is definitely a case where they got it right. You can see all the very minute details and paint detail kind of put in with the kind of, I don't know, markings, war paint, whatever you want to call it. Her hair is sculpted, but looks absolutely terrific. And then you come around to the back, and you even see the tattoo markings on the back of her head, which look really very nice. One thing that I would kind of say is that this little seam line here is a little off-putting. I do believe it's accurate, but on here, especially since this is, you know, a toy, it does look a little jarring right there. But the sculpted detail for the hair is really very nice. You can see even on the inside you have some nice purple bits, which are, again, of course, accurate. You can see she does have her little ponytail that comes down. Again, you got some nice purple wraps inside there. Gorgeous detail with the suit. Now, the next section here is not removable, so don't try taking that off. But gorgeous detail on there as well. The overall look of the suit itself in the film was really nicely done, and they did a really good job of capturing it. Again, gorgeous detail with the rest of the markings on the bodysuit. You can see that she does have the seamless arm thing. That always does bother me. My Gamora didn't hold up very well, and there's like this outer film that ended up peeling off. The underside is perfectly fine, but I have a tendency to want to leave the arms in just a straight pose, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that. Maybe just kind of like that. When I'm going to be putting those arm gauntlets on there. I just don't want to damage that rubberized body, and it makes me nervous. I get why they went with this seamless look. It's just not my favorite material. You can see that the little skirt section here does have some great patterns on the inside as well. I don't know how well that's coming across because it's fairly subtle, but gorgeous detail. I love the tattered look. You see the edges here with some kind of frame, which gives a very rustic sort of feel to it. Like I talked about, you got these little buttons. You do have the replacements for it. Love the belt buckle there. One thing that I'll talk about in terms of the accuracy is that I did go back and check, and that she wears the Kimoyo beads on this arm. On this one, though, she actually had a tattoo around her wrist. Not where the joint is. It's a little bit higher, but that's not on here, which is unfortunate. The actual actress, from my looking up of images and stuff, doesn't have that. So that was something that was put on just for the Shuri character herself. So that's definitely unfortunate that they did not recreate that as well. So again, a little bit lack of accuracy that unfortunately ties in with something else that she wears on her wrist, that being the Kimoyo beads. Coming down to look at the rest of the suit, you can see that the material down here has a very similar look to the upper body, so that all carries on. It looks really very nice. And then of course you come down to her sneakers, which are just regular shoes, but you know, they're sneakers because, you know, she sneaks in them. So overall, great detail, great likeness, but it is unfortunate that they did not put that tattoo marking around her wrist. So that is a bit of a disappointment. For her articulation, the head section here is on a ball joint. You can get that moving kind of any way you want, left, right, tilting, up and down, everything. I love the real stern look
on her face. That looks really cool. Goes along very nicely when you are going to want to put these on. Obviously, because this kind of hangs down, you do want to be careful with it. It is sculpted into the hair section up here, so you're probably a little bit more safe than if that was like a separate piece. I don't think that's a separate piece. It very well could be, but again, just be careful. The shoulders here do rotate all the way around. There we go. They move in and out. You do lift it up and you get that kind of weird, ugly, rubbery joint around plastic, which that's kind of ugly, but who cares? No one's going to really see that. You can see this. Yeah, you got to really push these up there to get them to stay, at least on that side, so be careful with that. The elbows here, you can bend them, but again, I don't want to overdo it because of the rubber body, but that's about as far as I feel comfortable going up. And then there's about a 60-degree range of motion. You can go about 20 degrees out, and it says about 40 degrees in. So you can't rotate that. There is, you're not going to be able to really hear it, a little bit of a ratchet joint in there. But again, in terms of the posing, it's going to require some creativity getting those arm gauntlets on there, because I probably would want to go like something like this, where I'm going to bend the elbow. Something like that would be a cool pose, but again, you're bending it, so probably just going to go like that with it, just so I can keep it straight. But that even kind of makes me nervous with that, so I'll have to figure out something just to be safe with the figure, I suppose. The upper body, it does have a rubberized body on the torso section, so I do feel like there's an ab joint, does rotate, but the suit does kind of limit some of it. But I like the material on it. It's not really rubbery per se, and it kind of stretches naturally looking, which I do like, and it seems to go back to its original shape pretty decently, so that's pretty cool. And then you got the ab crunch. You do have like a ball joint at the waist area, which is nice. The legs move forward and back. This doesn't really restrict too much of it. You can see that you got little straps back here around her butt. I don't know if that's supposed to be more up. I think it's supposed to be more up around there, but yeah, there we go. Keep that down. Just play with that, kind of fix it in and out. But again, you don't want to go out too far, because you can see like right here, that does kind of start stretching that section right there. So be careful with that. Rotates a little bit at the thigh. I don't feel too much, but you can see a little bit of a twist right there. Double bend here at the knee, which is nice. And then it does go, again, much like the upper torso, it does go back pretty decently on there. So that's an improved material than I would have anticipated. And then you come down to the ankles. Those are all ball joints, so you can move those forward and back, tilt side to side for a pretty good range of motion. Again, that's just falling down all the time. Now, for a size comparison, this is where I've seen people trying to criticize the figure as well, saying that she is not a good size. But doing a comparison, obviously, with her, here we have her next to her brother, Chadwick Boseman, otherwise known as the Black Panther. Now, this is where I do think that there are some issues. I feel like she should be a little bit taller. In terms of real life size, Chadwick Boseman is about 6 feet tall. I don't remember her name, but the actress that plays Shuri is about 5'6". This might be right if you included her hair at the top right there, but really she should be about that tall. So there is a size difference. I do think that she's too small, honestly. Now, they may have increased the size with him when he's wearing his suit, but there are so many images online of T'Challa next to Shuri where you can see there's not that big of a height difference. Like I said, it's only about 6 inches or so, which, again, if you count this to the difference here, it's a little bit closer, but definitely not at the head. So she really should be a taller figure. So that is a little bit unfortunate. Honestly, for me, it's not much of a deal breaker because until I was able to get this, I had this in my collection. Now, this is actually a really good figure by comparison. Now, you can see that the suit is very similar. The only real difference is the colors are a little bit more vibrant here on hers. The head here, the likeness is pretty decent. It's a little bit more cartoonish looking or a little bit more doll looking, but this is $40 compared to this, which is like $230. But this is the figure that I had in my collection for the longest time. So you can see, definitely smaller, but it's really not bad when you compare it. I mean, it's pretty accurate. It's got the different patterns on the head. And the suit is, like I said, pretty much identical except for the coloring. I do how like they actually used metal on the belt section right here. I mean, they even have the pattern here. But see, like this was what I was talking about. Like where this looks like it's a seam right along the side, much like hers. Other difference is this is actual real soft goods hair type of stuff. So the hair here is real fabric of sorts. This is molded in this pattern, but it's all soft feeling. And then the same thing with her little ponytail thing here. So pretty decent. And like I said, $40 for this. This worked in my collection for the longest time. The only problem is like the ankles aren't very good. So I always had to use a display stand to make sure that she stood up. Definitely weak ankles and always wants to fall. But it's almost like this is just a cartoon version of this. Pretty good though. And this was a Disney Store exclusive, so it was fairly easy to find. And like I said, only $40. So this was a good stand-in for the longest time until that came out. Now the hands, this is where things can get a little bit tricky. You want to pull these out and set these off to the side. But the problem though is when you pull it out, a lot of times the whole thing wants to come out. So stand, Shuri, stand. I was talking about the ankles on the other one. Now this one wants to have a hard time standing. So you pull these out like that. Leave these pegged in here. There we go. Then you bring these pieces in. Make sure you find the right one. So it's going to be on this one. And then you just slide this in. The problem though, again, you have to line up that peg on the inside to kind of lock it in, and it's not easy to do. And I wish that they just left it where you could take the hand and just push the whole thing in, because that is not a fun. This isn't a fun process trying to line these up. You can't see where the hole is, so you don't know if you're actually pushing in the right spot. And then, of course, this is rubber, so I don't like forcing too much on there. Again, oh, wait, no, see, that just kind of had it bent. So, I don't like how they implemented this. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. I wish they would have just made it where you could leave the fist on here and then slide that entire thing in there and kind of put the fist on the inside like normal, because as it is, that's going to be a pain in the butt to line up. So I'll do it and I'll come back. Overall though, a terrific addition to a collection, and I'm really super happy that they made her. For the longest time before the pre-order came out, there was not a lot of, I guess, faith that Hot Toys would make Shuri, but I am really happy that they did. Described as being even smarter than Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, Shuri is absolutely a wonderful character to have in the MCU. As I talked about, a lot of collectors constantly talk about figure of the year and how this is the best likeness that they've done. You know, that's all garbage if you ask me. We pay a lot of money for these figures and all of them should look as good as possible. And in all fairness, Hot Toys more often than not nails it. It's really only when they don't that people get up in arms. But I really think as collectors, we need to stop being super surprised when they create a likeness that is as spot on as Shuri here. At these prices, we should hold Hot Toys to a high standard, and we should expect things like this. But that's not to say that they don't deserve credit when it is due. They did a great job with this. The likeness itself is fantastic. The only real negatives that I have would be the minor one of being the material for the arms. I'm still not a fan of it. You can see that I have the pose here with the elbow slightly bent, but I don't feel enough that it's going to create a crease or damage anything. My biggest concern would be up here in the shoulder with the rubber rubbing against the neck section. That's the only part that I'm really super concerned about over time. But well, what would a Black Panther review be without one of my cats coming in? Hi, Pepper. Pepper and Shuri on screen together again. The other thing that I think is unacceptable in terms of what they've done is the Kimoyo beads are way too big, I feel. And then I also feel that they should have put the sculpted in detail in this. That's just inexcusable, if you ask me. Also, the little tattoo that she had on her shoulder, that should be there as well. I don't know if they didn't do it because of the material and they didn't want to print that on there, but those are things that I feel like we should, like I said, hold them to a higher standard. And in terms of accuracy, in terms of recreating the costumes, things like this and the tattoo should be on there. Other than that, I really can't think of anything wrong with her. She's a terrific piece. She is, in my opinion, a main enough character that she deserves a figure, and I'm glad, like I said, that they decided to actually make her. There was talk amongst a lot of collectors that they probably weren't going to make her. Same kind of like with Valkyrie right now. That's up in the air. Are we going to get a Valkyrie figure? Maybe because she's the new king, queen, whatever, of New Asgard. So it's possible. I don't know. But Pepper seems to like her. It is what it is. But that's it, guys. If you are interested in picking her up, she is available in limited quantities right now over at Big Bad Toy Store. So for that, I'll put a link down in the video description where you can go to BBTS and check out availability on her, as well as the rest of the wide range of Hot Toy figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video and if you like Pepper, do me a real quick favor, and that's hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, I'm getting distracted by the little cute baby. She's a cute baby. Oh, and she wants to move things. Also, though, if you made it to the end of this video, you got a special treat by getting to see Pepper. But I'd also just like to send in general a huge thank you. If you want to help support my channel, great. One of the best ways to do it, honestly, is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that this time, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons who, through their continued support, now more than ever help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, grow wise, grow strong, but never grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.
Pepper. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow.
You're so cute.